What's good, y'all? It's your boy Ross back at it again with another video. So I want to check out stories WWE didn't want you to know about Hell in a Cell. We just seen Hell in a Cell being brought back for SummerSlam between Obafemi and Brock Lesnar. And be honest with you, I felt like the cell wasn't needed. I felt like they didn't even really use the cell much, the structure itself. There were some, nice moments within the match, and I felt like the match was really building up to this crescendo point, and then it just kind of ended. This was one of the few times where I was really excited because the last Hell in a Cell we've seen in WWE was between Drew McIntyre and CM Punk, and it's one of my all-time favorites. It's definitely a top 10 Hell in a Cell for me personally. So coming from that, going back to the Hell in a Cell, only for it to kind of just be a mixed bag, or it doesn't really reach that peak. It's kind of disappointing, and it's not one of the worst Hell in a Cell we've seen. We've seen some horrible ones, but I felt like the cell was not really needed for what they end up doing in the ring. That's just my personal opinion on it. Y'all let me know how y'all felt about the Hell in a Cell match at SummerSlam. I just felt like it didn't really deliver as something that needed to happen between these two guys. But nevertheless, we're going to go down memory lane. Some of the good ones, some of probably the bad ones and horrible ones. I don't even have to say which is some of the most, deplorable Hell in a Cells. It's kind of easy to kind of spot those and talk about those. But appreciate all love sport. Let's get right into it, man.
Hell in a Cell is one of the showpiece matches in WWE. For this video, we want to take you through the behind the scenes info regarding the famed stipulation.
We got from Vince the edict that day that there would be no color in the match. And I had put together this whole thing in my head that involved color. I was mad. And I remember saying to Vince that day, this is the most disappointed I've ever been.
From how the cell matches came together, to planned spots that never came to fruition.
I had an idea where I was going to jump off the top of the cage onto Triple H and the Un-Americans, who were my minions at the time. I climbed to the top of the cage, looking up, that's not too bad. You get up there looking down, like, there's no way I'm jumping off this thing.
We'll also highlight injuries, controversies, and questionable booking decisions that went down inside the cell, all of which will be explained by the wrestlers themselves.
I came through that curtain and I was ready to strangle Vince McMahon.
These are the backstage stories behind the Hell in a Cell match.
I had hepatitis when I was 19 years old. Shit happens, but I split my head open on the cage and figured, what the hell.
Later on, more blood tests come back where it's like, okay, there may be an issue here.
Whatever Undertaker thinks is fine with me. I don't care.
Shane McMahon has performed two famous Hell in a Cells.
Yeah, that is kind of dangerous. And I think we've seen the story of Undertaker or someone talking about that whole situation. I don't think he was privy to that information. And you kind of need to know, especially if this is a match where it's traditionally blood is going to be a big part of it. So
spots in more modern times, but Shane actually played a key role in two previous big cell bumps back in the day, including during the 6-man Armageddon Hell in a Cell in 2000.
Classic.
With all the star power involved in the match, Rikishi was the odd man out in many respects, so it was important he did something impactful to stand out. But once the big spot was pitched to him, he wasn't sure how he was going to take a backwards bump off the cell onto a flatbed truck below. That was until Shane O'Mac showed him how to do it. Rikishi told the story to kayfabe commentaries.
But when he told me backwards, I think that's where we had a problem there.
Of course.
Shane McMahon actually climbed this cage and actually convinced me that it was easy to do. And this kid went up to the top cage and he actually took the bump. Not once, but twice.
That's crazy, bro.
When it came time for the show, the tow truck, the bed that came out there for the practice, didn't have these rails as the show was going. They backed up the truck. And it wasn't the same truck that came out there. It was a truck with rails. Now, mentally, I got kind of nervous.
Of course.
Because if I didn't hit my cue the right way, I would have landed on that rail. I could have seriously got injured. Taker kind of guided me the right way. And when he went to set me off, I kind of looked at him and said, hey, tell my family I love them.
Classic moment, bro.
Earlier in the year, Shane.
And once again, shout out to Shane, bro. Shout out to Shane. Over here going above and beyond to say, hey, look, this is how easy the spot is. Like, you could tell, bro, he was doing all he could to, impress the boys in the back, but also impress his dad, bro. You can tell. Because he didn't have to do that, but he went out there to show him, hey, it's not that bad. To ease his mind. Because, shit. Falling backwards and just trusting that everything will go according to plan, that could be kind of scary.
Kane was involved in the planning for Mick Foley's retirement match against Triple H at No Way Out inside the cell. A few days before the show, the big spot of the match was mapped out in a warehouse with the structure and ring set up. Perhaps Shane was already itching to feature in a cell match, as he was happy to take the iconic backdrop bump that Foley would then take against the game.
Bro.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh my God.
The cage broke. The ring broke. And Cactus Jack has broken his hand.
Shane McMahon must have taken that bump 3 times in a row.
Okay.
Without any fear or hesitation whatsoever.
That's insane.
See, Shane's fearless. I might be courageous because I act in the face of fear. Shane's fearless. He wasn't concerned at all. Here you go, boom. I didn't think it was a perfect bump because I thought I went through awkwardly and I thought I had my hands out and I thought I went butt first. I would have liked to have landed flat. And I thought the gimmicking was too much to where it looked like I landed on a pillow. My first thought when I hit was, didn't hurt enough to look good.
Okay.
Didn't knock the wind out of me, and maybe slightly.
Sticking with Mick Foley, and
Mick, he's built different, bro. He said, that didn't hurt me as much as I was hoping for. I'm glad they gimmicked the damn ring, bro, because we've seen him fall through the cage before, and there was no gimmick. And he was literally in pain. No, I'm glad. I'm glad. No. One thing about Mick, he will literally destroy his body just so it looks good. No, Mick. No.
I'd be remiss not to mention the most iconic Hell in a Cell match and moment ever, occurring at King of the Ring 1998, when The Undertaker sent Mankind off the top of the structure through the Spanish announce table below.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
However, Mick Foley's most painful cell bump didn't actually come here. It happened during the August 24th, 1998 Raw, where 2 months after his King of the Ring epic, Foley fell off the cell and went tumbling through the announce table again.
Oh my God. Oh.
Even though the distance of the fall was shorter this time, it hurt more due to how awkwardly Mick landed.
Only the bottom part of my butt cheeks hit the table. The rest of the fall was taken squarely on the back of my neck and head. And the funny thing is, everybody remembers the fall off the cage with Undertaker and Mick Foley from Hell in a Cell in June of '98. But a couple months later, I took a fall that hurt me a great deal more that nobody remembers.
On Foley's pod, Mick shared an idea he had for a second Hell in a Cell match with Undertaker, a decade on from their original classic.
This was around 2009, 2010. I was thinking, man, if I had come back to WWE at 250 and hadn't had head injuries, like maybe I would have pushed for that. But when I came back, I was heavy and it just wasn't in the cards.
The hardcore legend also mentioned a bump off the cell he wanted to take in the potential rematch.
Same bump I took with Big Show at Mania 99. Same bump I took with Leon White, but we did it on the wooden ramp. And I thought if Undertaker and I went up there, and man, this is the most, this is an iconic scene, Undertaker and Foley back up, Undertaker Mankind, Undertaker Foley back up on top of the cell. Here I am up on Undertaker's back. But instead of just dropping backwards, he's doing it from 16 feet, may have been 20 by that point. And the key is we got to be tight. And the key is we're going to go right through that freaking ring.
Damn.
And there'll be something underneath it, not on the surface. So I don't know how I want it to look more realistic. And I want it to be almost, you don't think you get some holy...
oh my gosh.
That would have been insane. If he fell backwards with Mick Foley on his back all the way down through the cell, all the way through the ring, that would have been another iconic Hell in a Cell moment for Mick Foley, for sure.
Minutes. And then when that first hand, whoever it was, comes up out of there, I don't know how you finish from there. Or maybe that's just the end of it, But that was the big bump.
2 stretcher
that
jobs.
I never had. 2 stretcher jobs And I'm getting the buzz because, again, it's
crazy.
Yeah. I still believe I could have done it, and it would have been the greatest bump in the history of professional wrestling.
Foley tells the story of another
Would've been
painful
insane,
cell
bro.
moment, as again we go back to No Way Out 2000 versus Triple H. Here, the Hardcore Legend's signature elbow drop was done with a steel chair, but disaster struck because of the short distance between the ring and cell wall.
Oh my God!
The move legitimately hurt the game too, as he almost got knocked unconscious with his body visibly twitching.
Look real closely at my nose area. I basically broke my own nose while dropping an elbow on Triple H. It's a good thing his nose didn't break, or we both may have drowned.
Another spot that went wrong in the No Way Out match, and ultimately had to be nixed, involved the chair on top of the cell. The problem was Foley couldn't throw the chair far enough to reach the structure.
He needs to stop. What is he doing? Look out. Look at that. He's going to go. Oh, he's so weak.
Mick spoke about the botch in his second book, Foley is Good. With the fire in my eyes, I picked up a metal chair and flung it up on top of the cell. No, I didn't. I tried, but the chair came up short. I'd cleared it by several feet earlier in the afternoon, but apparently the 20+ minutes of intense action had
just
drained
tired,
the
bro.
strength from me. 3 more times I tried, and 3 more times I failed. Each one accompanied by collective groans of disappointment from the crowd. I needed a chair up there. Its presence was essential to my future cell plans. I began scaling the cage to the delight of the fans while I tried to formulate a plan B. I wish I had the chair, but I decided to resort to an old standby, a kick to the nuts.
Foley kept trying to throw a chair to the top of the cage.
I wouldn't make it. I did make it up there like 6 times in a row before the show ever started. So it was like, okay, I'm 6 for 6. That's going to be no problem. But I was just worn out.
Yeah,
and I
you're
remember I
tired.
got that chair, and it's like clanging right off near the top. And I also understand there are fans there. So if I throw this thing with a
It bounces out.
Yeah, it bounces out. Or if I just throw it up and it drifts right, I'm going to have, I could injure somebody. So I'm trying to get it up there. It's not. It's like I felt like we needed that chair up there for whatever reason, although we used the barbed wire 2x4.
Following the retirement match with Mick, Triple H took on the moniker of Mr. Hell in a Cell, due to appearing in so many of them. Although the Game and Chris Jericho's clash at Judgment Day 2002 is one of the more forgettable cell matches because it came off the heels of some of the best and most famous ones, there was in fact a planned spot that would have certainly made the contest memorable. However, Jericho got cold feet, which he revealed during an Inside the Ropes live show.
If you went to a Hell in the Cell show, if you're on the ground looking up, you're like, that's not too bad. I mean, it's high, but it's not that high. I had an idea where I was going to jump off the top of the cage onto Triple H and the Un-Americans, who were my minions at the time. I climbed to the top of the cage, looking up, that's not too bad. You get up there looking down, you're like, there's no way I'm jumping off this thing. Because everyone looks this big. Like up there, it's supposed to be like, there's no way.
With the cage jump off the table, Chris and Triple H instead wanted to make their bout different to the cell matches that came before them.
The thing I really am proud of for that Hell in the Cell is it's the first one that didn't feature a crazy bump off the top of the cage. That was kind of a Hell in the Cell
Staple.
standard.
Yeah.
So we said, let's make this match a bridge to where people don't expect to have someone fall off every time. Because sooner or later, you can't do that all the time. You know?
Jericho and Hunter still did the finish on top of the cell, but the fact they went up there to begin with had fans thinking someone was coming off. Their feud didn't really call for a Hell in a Cell blow-off anyway, hence why this match doesn't get talked about too often.
So I was really proud of the fact that we gave a great match. Once again, the bridge between having to take this crazy stump bump just because it's what you do in a Hell in a Cell, and then having, okay, now we have gone on top of the cage, and I believe for the next few Hell in a Cells, they actually stayed inside the cage.
Yeah.
But we had introduced the concept that you don't have to fall from the top, so it kind of made it a better match, in my opinion, and more people could be in it because you weren't expected to take this crazy bump from the top of the ground.
Jericho and Triple H showed how wrestlers could work a Hell in a Cell match without jumping off it. The Undertaker and Edge's encounter at SummerSlam 2008 was similar, in that it showed how a cell match could...
I'm not going to lie to you. Even though there was no blood in this match was really good. They knocked it out the park, and we know that Edge was upset with it because it's a Hell in a Cell. Their feud had gotten to that point. It needed to have blood. This didn't have blood, but this was hella entertaining. It was. Now you can say, oh, well, why would you complain that Brock and Oba didn't have blood? Well, we just came, once again, from a Hell in a Cell that had blood, and it made sense. And even then, even though this didn't have blood, I think this would have been better with color because their feud warranted, because they were like, they hated each other. This was like, they were screwing each other out of title matches and stuff. This was really built up well. So I think this needed it and could have benefited even more, even though it was still entertaining. And they did a lot more in this match than Brock and Oba did as well. They used the cell itself a lot more effectively. So that's why this one gets a little bit more of a pass, because they went out there and still was trying to destroy each other in an effective way. So
be done well within the parameters of a PG rating. For he and Taker's feud-ending bout, Edge had come up with most of the big spots ahead of time, but he had to pivot after Vince McMahon wanted things toned down, because WWE had just turned PG a month prior. The Rated R Superstar discussed his frustrations with the changes on the Edge and Christian Pod of Awesomeness.
We got from Vince the edict that day that there would be no color in the match. But I was mad, and I remember saying to Vince that day, "This is the most disappointed I've ever been." He said, "I trust you two to be able to set the template for what a Hell in a Cell will be going forward." And I was like, "Oh, well, shit." I thought this is the culmination of a year and a half angle.
Yes.
There has to be that. There has to be color. And I wasn't thinking further down the road, the bigger picture, all of the things that Vince has to think about. And in hindsight, he was right.
Despite the constraints, Edge and Taker ended up having one of the last great cell matches for a few years. This is due to the concept becoming more and more watered down.
And for the simple fact that they were literally going out there, it just, you know, this feud had been built up for so long. They were throwing everything at each other. It was just no blood. I would have been cool if they just gave them an opportunity to have blood in this particular match, but you know, unfortunately, it didn't happen that way.
As time went on, if you couldn't jump off the cell anymore and you couldn't get color, then the stipulation loses a lot of the magic. Plus, the next year it became its own pay-per-view and would start to feature feuds which had no business being contested in Hell in a Cell. The Hell in a Cell matches at the self-titled pay-per-view were largely forgettable until 2013, when Daniel Bryan challenged Randy Orton for the WWE Championship, with Shawn Michaels as the special guest referee. Bryan's storyline versus Triple H and The Authority had plenty of heat going in. However, the finishes on pay-per-view often fell flat. The Cell clash with Shawn as the ref was no different. In the end, Michaels superkicked his former wrestling student, Bryan, to give Orton the win.
Yep, I remember this.
HBK didn't care much for the angle, which he spoke about on Talk Is Jericho.
The Bryan Danielson stuff, a lot of it just didn't really make any sense. And even that I went ahead and did, because I thought, oh, I mean, what the heck, who cares? I mean, it's, you know, it's, I don't mean to be, when I say who cares and I don't worry about stuff, I mean,
worry about it.
not stuff just doesn't.
It's not like it used to be. Dissecting every little detail,
exactly.
right?
You know, I just don't. I don't worry about my character.
You know, I have no problem with that, but my character would never.
Right, exactly.
Because that's what you came
personally. My character, HBK, he says no.
Bryan also begrudged the Hell in a Cell finish. He wrote about it in his book, which he read aloud in audio format inside a recording studio.
When I initially heard the finish, I thought maybe WWE had convinced Shawn to come back and face me at WrestleMania months later, which would have given meaning to the closing moments of my match with Randy. If such was to be the case for me and Shawn, the whole finish would have been amazing. After speaking with Shawn, however, it became clear he had no intention of ever wrestling again, and the finish
until Saudi came around. Was it Saudi? What show was that? It don't even fucking matter. I believe so. You know, once that money came a-calling.
Which was constructed the way it was, just to get out of the situation, while still protecting me from losing. I appreciated the fact that WWE bothered with protecting me, but again, the fans left feeling dissatisfied in a way that didn't help business going forward.
Shawn's involvement in the Cell match was meant to be the end of his role in the story, but Michaels realized how much the pay-per-view finish was lacking, so he lobbied to do something with Bryan the next night on Raw.
So he came back and super kicked Danielson. Of course, that sparked a whole bunch. Oh, it's going to be Danielson versus HBK.
Exactly. And the thing is, I at least talked him into letting him, because I was just supposed to kick him and that was it. And I said, at least let me come on tomorrow night and let him stretch me. You know, at least let him get something back, the poor dude. And there's no answer to this. And It's like, well, okay. I mean, we didn't know you'd be available Monday. It's like, well, I mean, I'd like to do this for
him, yeah.
Another questionable creative decision in the cell came when Edge defeated Demon Finn Balor at
Yep.
WrestleMania 39. WWE were only using the Rated R Superstar part-time, so fans thought Finn should have won. However, Vince McMahon had just regained power within the company after being ousted the previous summer, so the decision for Edge to go over was a late call made by Vince after Balor had originally been scheduled to get the victory. This was reported by Fightful, who also mentioned that Edge had been pushing for Finn to beat him. The match is also remembered for the temporary stoppage, which saw Balor receive medical attention after getting busted open from a ladder shot. Finn described the
Once again, I enjoyed this Hell in a Cell. The decision definitely should have been Finn winning this, but the accidental color was chef's kiss. I know it probably didn't feel good to Finn, but it was chef's kiss. It was. But they was like, nah, we need to stop this.
injury, and the moments immediately afterward while chatting to Chris Van Vliet.
And he starts throwing it, but I guess I turned at the wrong moment.
Oh my God.
And then, no problem, I'll just put my hands up and block it. But it's a ladder, it's not a chair.
Oh.
So like the rungs were here and here, and it just went right through my hands. And in that moment, my brain couldn't understand why it was still coming towards me because my hands were up.
No doubt about it.
Oh my God.
Almighty.
Oh.
I was like, oh, that stung, but it's fine, So I'm just selling on the ring. And then referee Sean Bennett comes over and he goes, buddy, you okay? I said, yeah, I'm fine. He goes, what day is it? I said, it's WrestleMania, dude. I said, are you sure you're okay? I said, yeah. I said, dude, you're carved open. The doctor's going, dude, you're split open. Like, we got to staple it. At this point, then the camera comes around and it's here. And I guess they were just shooting, but it wasn't live. But I can't see if the red light's on or not because I'm looking at the doc. So I start saying to her, staple it, staple it. Because I go into demon character, right? To where the doc Michelle just goes like,
Balor getting busted open was seen to there and then, but one controversy surrounding Blood in the Cell didn't come to the forefront until after the match occurred. We're referring to when The Undertaker fought Randy Orton at Armageddon in 2005. Randy's father, Cowboy Bob, got involved in the action and was cut open the hard way while brawling with Taker.
You handed a cookie jar. There's Bob Orton. Oh, his arm is put out.
Bob ended up bleeding directly onto the Phenom during the exchange. The problem was that Bob had been diagnosed with hepatitis C when he was young, though showed no symptoms thereafter. He'd essentially forgotten about it, and the hep C wasn't initially flagged on any of the tests he did during his WWE physical.
Later on, more blood tests come back, and after the fact, not before the fact, but after the fact, where it's like, okay, there may be an issue here.
The Undertaker later came back negative when he got tested after the Cell match. Bob, however, was taken off TV following the match and released 2 months later. In an interview provided by Title Match Wrestling, Bob said he didn't know if there was still heat between him and Taker over the incident.
I had hepatitis when I was 19 years old, and my body beat it, so I've got the antibody. They seem to take that pretty seriously. I myself can't give somebody something I don't have, but I can understand where people would be very upset and everything about that. Whatever Undertaker thinks is fine with me. I don't care. Shit happens, but I stick my head open on the cage.
He said shit happens.
We're back there in the back, and I just told him, hey, for 30 years I've been doing this, and there hadn't been no problems. I don't have the virus. And like I said, if I don't have it, I can't give it to you.
Our final entry looks at, without question, the worst.
And here's the thing. Here's the thing about that. I can understand you may not having it, and you've been good for a while. That's understandable. But at the same time, definitely, I'm guessing from both standpoints. If there was never really an issue, he wouldn't really bring it up because no one really talked about it and it was never really an issue. But from the Undertaker's standpoint, hey, that's still a serious thing. Hey, let me know something before we do any type of blood being, exposed or whatnot. So I can understand both points, never really having to explain it because there's never been an issue because you've been good with it majority of your life, to someone be like, hey, I still would like to know these things, even though, it's never been an issue. It's only right to at least let me know. Give me the opportunity to kind of sort things out. So
Hell in a Cell match in history, as Seth Rollins and The Fiend battled to a no contest in 2019. This came after Seth appeared to get DQ'd for attacking.
I just want you to hear what he said at the beginning. Literally one of the worst.
Hell in a Cell match in history. As
I can't give it to you.
our final entry looks at without question the worst Hell in a Cell match in history, as Seth
Easily.
Rollins and The Fiend battled to a no contest in 2019. This came after Seth appeared to get DQ'd for attacking his opponent with a sledgehammer.
DQ'd in a Hell in a fucking Cell. DQ'd.
The referee stopped the match, yet Rollins was not declared the winner. The Fiend eventually popped back up and attacked Seth to end the pay-per-view. Fans buried the finish, as WWE creative and fan morale seemed to be at an all-time low following a bad year of shows.
You may not ask me back for another one of these, but how the hell do you get DQ'd now?
Did he get DQ'd or the refs just stopped the match?
I've been these people.
He said, you may not ask me to come back for one of these, but he was real. It's a Hell in a Cell. How do you get disqualified? What?
One August, they love you. And the next August, they hate you.
Rollins has spoken about the aftermath, where he wanted to beat up Vince backstage.
I came through that curtain and I was ready to strangle Vince McMahon. I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. Tyson Kidd, TJ Wilson was there to hold me back.
You really shoot mad.
I was, oh, dude, I stared right into Vince's eyes because you know where he sits in that chair over there. I looked at him. He looked at me. We didn't say a single word to each other, and he walked out. And then I sat down there with Paul Heyman, who was also, at the time, he was creative director of Raw. And so I sat down there with him, and we had a conversation. And then the next day, I went into Vince's office. I was much calmer, and I said, let's talk about this. We need to figure.
Because, bro, that was fucking horrendous. That was stupid. That was stupid. Their first mistake was booking The Fiend, which at that point was the coolest thing that WWE had. Coolest creation WWE had, and obviously Bray really putting his input to that. You booked this guy to face Seth Rollins so quick, there's only one option there. Seth was going to have to fucking lose because people were enjoying what Bray was doing. They wanted to see him as champion. You immediately put yourself in the corner. Immediately. Only for you to set this match up where The Fiend can take like 20 stomps, multiple items to the dome piece and still kick out. You literally booked yourself in a no-win situation other than The Fiend would have had to have won that damn match, only to end it in a no DQ. The worst Hell in a Cell ever. It's not even close, bro.
Figure out what we're doing here because that can't happen again.
Seth and Bray Wyatt had a different vision for the match and were against how it was laid out, especially the ending, but McMahon was persistent.
Are there any moments in your careers that you wish behind-the-scenes cameras were around for, that you wish you had on camera?
Oh, I wish they were there for the Hell in a Cell match with Bray Wyatt. I wish they were there for that whole weekend so they could really see what went down. You know, that's one of those where I have such terrible, like, there's such a terrible connotation to that experience from an outside standpoint, and I just go, no one really knows what happened there, and I can't describe it to a point that it makes sense where people have a different feeling about it. If you could have seen that from start to finish that week all the way up till the end of that match and the next day, like, I think people would have a different, maybe, I don't know, appreciation, but a little different. Be a little more empathy, maybe.
The chairman appeared to enjoy the negative crowd response, as he made the announcers stay at the desk even after the show ended. By this point, the fans in attendance had begun throwing debris which was hitting the commentators.
And Vince is skipping, like he's giddy. And he goes to high-five Vic, and Vic blows him off. And I found out that Vince made the commentators stay out there, and Sacramento and that crowd was so pissed. They're throwing stuff, and and I think Vic was upset about that. Like, why are you leaving me out there to get pelted with crap? And Vince, like, loved the crowd reaction.
Now, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check.
See, that's fucking stupid. You see, Vince didn't give a fuck, bro. He was upset that wasn't even real, like, heat. That was fuck WWE heat. That was, I'm done with this fucking show. I'm done with this fucking product. There's a difference between good heel heat, and nah, I'm cool on this, bro. What the fuck is this? And he didn't give a shit. He didn't. He did not care. He was like, it's good business. No! That was horrendous. Definitely horrendous. But hey, comment down below. Let me know some other wrestling matches, or not wrestling matches. Well, if there's some particular wrestling matches y'all want me to check out, but wrestling related content you guys want me to check out, or topics you guys want me to talk about, I definitely will. I appreciate all the love and support you guys have shown on the channel. Road to 200K. Appreciate y'all kicking with me. See you on the next one. Peace.